Hey guys, for episode number 3, I've got a couple great things that I think every enterprise grade manager will be really excited to hear about. Stick around and find out. Okay, first thing to share for this week's episode. Last week, I had lunch with a good friend of mine, Greg Larkin. Greg just published a book called This Might Get Me Fired. It's a great book. It's super relevant for us because Greg spent his career as a product manager working inside these little itty-bitty tiny companies called Google, Pricewaterhouse, Bloomberg. No, but for real, it's these stories that Greg witnessed firsthand of these digital teams working inside these big companies and actually achieving innovation. All these stories are really inspiring. Greg's a funny guy, he's really smart, and the stories really kind of helped me to keep me moving and doing the things that I'm doing. I hope it does the same for you. Watch the interview, watch till the end. I'm gonna share a link to his book so you can go check it out yourself. The second thing I wanted to share with you, and then we'll get into the interview, is maybe you know, I've been working on my own book. So originally, Greg and I met to have lunch, and Greg was gonna help me think through the arc of the story that I'm working on. Also relevant, of course, for product people wanting to use different tools like design sprints and different kind of innovation frameworks. And Greg, having the experience that he does and being a good friend, he offered to spend time working through that with me. So without further ado, here's the interview I did with Greg Larkin, esteemed author of This Might Get Me Fired. Check it out. Okay, I'm here with my friend Greg Larkin. Hold on.
That's cool, man.
Okay, I'm here with my friend Greg Larkin. Greg just wrote a book called This Might Get Me Fired. Greg, tell us about the book. Why'd you write it? Who's it for?
Yeah, I wrote the book because I've been launching products in big companies for about 15 years, and really the book started when I was working in the innovation team at Bloomberg, and I began to realize that everything I needed to know about how to navigate and move fast in a very big company wasn't in the innovation books, was not in the products books, and a huge part of my job was building great products in an organization that's really afraid of change and resists it, and that's a very hard place to do anything agile, anything innovative, anything that breaks through. Every disruptive startup that starts to steal market share from a very large organization, almost 100% of the time was founded by people that used to work in those companies. And when you're on the inside of one of those companies and you happen to be an entrepreneurial person like you and I are, you can really feel quite lonely and isolated, like you're the only entrepreneur there. You're constantly bumping up against this sort of wall of resistance of people who feel like the rules don't allow them to, and anyone who has hit up against that and feels that they can be more impactful than their company allows them to be, I want them to read this book, and I want them to learn a few of the rules about how to do their greatest work, be their best entrepreneurial self, because we happen to live in an amazing moment in economic and human history where no one gives a shit if you become a senior vice president at Accenture.
Right.
They really only care about your portfolio. Your value in this market depends on how quickly you build and what you build and how many people you serve when you build it. My inbox has been flooded with people who are like, read your book, just told my boss that if he doesn't launch the product that I've been trying to build for the past 6 months that I'm quitting.
Has anyone told you they got fired?
2 people.
Yeah, that's great though. Fuck it, they took the initiative. Do you feel bad for them?
I don't feel bad for them, and they don't feel bad. Everyone is like, thank you, I've been delaying this, I've been putting it off, I haven't had the talk with myself that I needed to have.
Yeah.
I've always said if you can't launch something in 8 weeks, you never will.
Yeah.
That's especially true in big corporations because the antibodies that kill great entrepreneurial products in large organizations will just kick your ass after 8 weeks.
Yep.
One of the things that's amazing, though, is when you start to make a very big company move at the speed of startup. It's one of the most incredible feelings of acceleration you can ever experience, and in my opinion, it's more satisfying than that kind of acceleration in a startup where it's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So tell me, ultimately, what are people going to learn from this book that they don't know already today?
I think there's probably 3 big lessons. The first one is innovation only works when it's urgent. I think a lot of product people and a lot of innovation people, they don't spend enough time understanding the cost of not innovating. I think the second thing is most innovation initiatives and many product people never pitch an idea, only pitch an outcome. That's the most mission critical change that every entrepreneur needs to make. I guess the third thing is there's the secret power of the entrepreneur underground. Anyone who's an entrepreneur often feels like they're the only one in their company who is entrepreneurial. I don't know, Jay, where'd you go to high school? In Jersey, right? Do you remember like the first person to show up to school with blue hair and you're like, oh, that guy's gonna get his ass kicked?
Shit, that was me in college. I can't remember high school.
And then like the next day there's like 15 people with blue hair.
Right.
It's the same thing in a company. The first entrepreneur that like raises their hand and says, you know what, like, I'm just not like you guys. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not going to apologize for it. I build great products and I solve important problems and I do it fast and I break stuff.
I wish I had it at my fingertips 10 years ago when I was in that search.
Me too.
I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of you out there that are feeling trapped. You have these good ideas, you can't push them forward. Go check out Greg's book. This Might Get Me Fired. Greg, where can they find it, or where can they find more about you?
Yeah, they can find the book on Amazon. They can check me out on my LinkedIn page. They can also go to Bowery, Bowery, 315.com. And here's some news I'm going to break on the Jay Malone video.
Nice.
I recently...
You're in porn now, or?
Yeah, only a little bit.
Sorry to Greg's wife. Kids.
As a product manager. What did Gandhi say? The service you render unto others is the rent you pay for your time here on Earth.
Nice.
So.
Nice. I love ending on Gandhi quotes. So, Greg, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay.